Hall of Fame. Here's Booker T and Brad Gilmore.
Welcome inside the Hall of Fame. I'm Booker T, 6-time world champ, 2-time Hall of Famer. Got my man Brad Gilmore here with me, as always, coming to you from ESPN 97.5 and 92.5. Guys, giving it to you where you like it. You gotta love it, man. Check it out. Check it out.
What is that? Is that the Ship shirt?
Ship in the highs, y'all. Make sure you get you one. Go to realitywrestling.com or Pro Wrestling Tees as well. They think they got them on. So get you one, guys. Get you one. They're going like hotcakes, man. How you feeling, man? How you feel?
You don't mess with my little privates, man.
I'm doing great, Punk. When you're talking about giving it to you just how you like it, you kind of know. Don't mess with my little privates. I'm doing great. You know what? I'm doing great. I know we have a lot that we want to discuss and things, but you know, one of the things that we took pride in when we started doing this show the way that we are doing it now, through the stream and on the YouTube, on the radio, kind of doing all the things, is we built out our own little studio spaces in our house, right? And we put little things on the house. So if you've never watched the whole thing, you only listen to us. Like behind Booker, it looks like you've got a couple of awards from Pro Wrestling Illustrated. You've got let's just give like a little zoom action on Booker real quick. You got the Muhammad Ali mosaic painting. You've got the YouTube plaque. You got a small little WWE championship there. You got a picture of you and Ali.
Look at that. Look right there.
Look at
that. That's me. That's me. Wait a minute. That's the champ and Muhammad Ali.
Yeah. First time you said that joke, you nailed it because you go, we were in your office and you're like, yeah, man, look at that. That's the champ right there. And the other guy's Muhammad Ali. that was the best one. But and I have stuff behind me, and I wanted to have something new to add to the wall. And we've been talking about him so much recently that I went out and I purchased something. And I did not know how great.
Is that a Trump photo behind you?
That's Jay Leno that he signed to me. You always do that. And, I almost grabbed my Rockets hat today. And I remember last time I wore the Rockets hat, you called it a MAGA hat. And I'm like, it's a Rockets hat. That's Jay Leno, one of the hosts of Tonight Show. That's Johnny Carson, other host of the Tonight Show. But I got something new, and I did not realize when I made this purchase how great it was actually going to turn out to be. So we've talked a lot about one particular pro wrestler for a long time on the show, one of our favorites of all time, the Macho Man, right? So I wanted something, a Mach, to put on the wall, and I said, what better than the Macho Man rap album, the Be a Man rap album? So I went out and I purchased the CD. Now, we've all seen this cover, but Book, it gets better. Macho was really on one when he did this album because you can open it and there's stuff on the inside, and the two pictures on the inside are just insane. You ready? So here is the inside for anybody who's never seen it before. This is the inside of the Macho Man rap album here inside the Hall of Fame. So there's picture number one. Look at Mach there.
Ripped to shreds.
Yeah, ripped to shreds. And then the thing that gets better is that the CD itself comes with a trading card of the same photo. Look at that.
Hey, man, you get a lot, when you're dealing with the Macho Man Savage, man. He give you the whole kit and caboodle, man. So I like it, man. I like it.
And then when you open it even more, it shows you see all the little small text? Those are all the people that wrote the songs. Wow. Right? Mach didn't pin his own records, which is fine. But this one, My Perfect Friend, featuring Primary Colors with a Z, was written by Kay Keene, Jay Jefferson, and the late, great Lanny Poffo wrote the rap.
Wow. Yeah. Lenny was talking about he did some of the writing for that. So I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised at all.
Well, that was his gimmick for a while, right? He was a poet.
He was the genius. Yeah.
Genius. Yeah. He'd come and he did a little poem with Macho went in the hall.
Yeah, definitely.
So go out and buy it. They put this out every year. They do a thing called Record Store Day, where like big record companies will release a classic vinyl of an album in stores, and whatever label this was, which is, I guess, let's see, this is Girder Records. Girder Records this year put out a Macho Man vinyl, was the record that they put out, and it's selling on eBay for like $600.
Wow. I mean, Mach was popular, man. I mean, they don't get. I mean, of course, Hogan, was a guy that was, as big as Mach, but other than, guys like Hogan, they didn't get too much bigger than Macho Man Savage. I even throw, in that same, group back in the day in the WWF, Paul Orndorff, certain guys that just stood out, that made you feel a certain way when you saw them just walk down the aisle, and
Yeah.
Hulk, all of course, Warrior, all those guys,
Warrior.
pretty much cut from that same cloth, man. Stars, man, mega superstars. We just lost another one just yesterday. The Iron Sheik passed away at 81 years old. Went on my first tour with the Iron Sheik to the Virgin Islands, and man, we had such a great time. Great memories. Just breaking into the business, not having a whole lot of money. I remember I came from Japan, and then went on that tour to the islands, and I had about $1,500, and I'm serious. I mean, because that was the money I made from being there in Japan. So going to that trip to the islands, we were getting paid like $1,000, maybe $1,500 for the whole week we were going to be there. And I remember we got paid $500 when we landed by a guy by the name of Jeep Swenson. He was running the show over there, and Jeep, he's passed now, but he was a huge guy. He was in the Batman movie back in the day. Huge. He was Bane. Actually,
he was Bane, right?
Yeah, and we got that $500. The shows totally was a flop. That's the only money we got for that tour. But I tell you, man, it was the greatest tour I had ever been on, that I didn't get paid my money, but man, just being on the islands, we had a spot right on the beach. We was partying every night, man. That $1,500 went quick. But I tell you, man, it was a great memories. The Kerry Von Erich, he was on that trip.
Wow.
What great memories,
man. What do you remember about being around Sheik on that trip?
He was a worker, man. Sheik was a worker, bro. Sheik didn't pay for nothing. Sheik would have a thing of 8x10s, stashed, and wherever we would go, after the meal, whatever, Sheik would pull out an 8x10 and tell him, here's an 8x10 from the former WWF champion. He decided to give it to him, and we walk on. I'm not lying either.
No way.
Yes way.
That is so funny.
Oh man, it was crazy, man. She had so many stories, man. But oh man, great times, man. Great times, great memories, more so than anything.
So with Sheik, in latter years, he kind of became known as a internet sensation for all the crazy kind of things that he would say on Howard Stern and then on Twitter. And so there's somewhat of a caricature out there of Iron Sheik. But if you go back to the 1980s, when he had his big run and then lost the title in Madison Square Garden to Hogan, there was no one more reviled as a heel than the Iron Sheik. I mean, he could get those people to just want to jump in the ring and try to do something. And I also hear that Sheik was one of the most legit tough guys ever. I mean, just strong as an ox.
Yeah, man, he was the real deal. Just glad that he passed away on Wednesday. I'm just glad he got a chance to see his doc on A&E on Sunday. It just came on this Sunday, and I was so happy to see it, because I always said, man, Sheik was literally one of my favorite stars when I came up as a kid, because man, he brought it. He made it real to me. He made me feel a certain way when I watched him. He was a heel's heel, is what the Iron Sheik was, and he will definitely be missed. Godspeed to one of the greatest that ever did it, the Iron Sheik. Stick around, guys. You're in the Hall of Fame. We'll be back in a minute.
In order to kick some ass, you had to bring some. I wasn't born the chosen one. I became the chosen one. Through hard work, determination, and winning.
The chosen one, victorious.
You're gonna be a big star. You already are.
I'm stronger. And I'm faster than anyone they ever put me in the ring with. Being the chosen one isn't just a nickname, it's a gift. And professional wrestling is my gift. That is an absolute, guaranteed. What's my name again?
Shoop! Welcome back inside the Hall of Fame, guys. I just had to get it in there. I got the shirt on, guys. You want to get one? Go to realitywrestling.com. Do it. Do it now. I do it for you. Our pro wrestling tees, they got some as well. So make sure you get you one, guys. We got a whole bunch of them. Get that Everest. Get that Everest t-shirt. That's the one you really want to get.
We ain't going.
Yeah, we ain't going. We ain't going. All the brothers out there, you need one. You need one of those.
You just need to let them know that you ain't going. Just how it is. Just how it goes.
We ain't going.
Oh man, Book. Look, there's a lot going on. Obviously, we'd be remiss if we didn't bring up that on Saturday we got a big taping going down at Reality Wrestling. It is the penultimate show, which is a fancy way of saying it's the show before the show, going down to the Humble Civic Center on July 15th. This is, of course, on Reality Wrestling. It's 10,000 M&F Lowry Expressway. A few tickets are still out there. You could get a seat, or maybe you have to stand, but you can come watch some of the best pro wrestling you're going to see in the entire state of Texas this Saturday, 7 o'clock bell time. Tickets at realityofwrestling.com. How to get that plug in there for all the people, for the people.
It's all about the people. It's all about the people here inside the hall. And I tell you, I know a lot of people out there, got a lot of questions. We're kind of coming off a hell of a week. Of course, I don't know if we've been trending, but we've been all over the internet these last couple of days. And, my thing is, man, I saw this one quote, and it summed me up perfectly. It said, Booker T is going to be Booker T. And I said, man, I like that. I like it a lot. But I know we probably got super chatters. We got any super chatters?
None have rolled in just yet. So we got a second. There was a story out there.
What's that?
That I do want to clear up. I don't know if you want to clear it up, because I think you were pretty clear, but there were a few things that you made news about. One of them was like the stuff talking about Lacey Evans. Do you have anything more that you want to say on that subject? Because some people try to take it into a different direction than I think that what you were referring to it as.
Yeah, a lot of people try to take it into a different direction than what I was trying to, talking about. My thing is, when it comes to females in the wrestling business, I'm a man. Okay, I know what I like, and when I watch professional wrestling, I know what I'm looking for. And when I watch, female professional wrestlers, normally if they're beautiful, I'm really going to look a lot more, especially if I'm of that certain age, if I'm a teenager, as well as sex appeal. I tell all of my students, you never want to lose your sex appeal as a female, because men, they're not just coming to watch you wrestle, they're coming to watch you. And I felt that same way as a professional wrestler myself, because, even though being a man, I wore some of the shortest tights. I made sure, the baby oil was on thick. I made sure I hit the rubber band, because there again, a lot of female fans thought that, man, they might get a date with Booker T. Booker T might ask about. So it's a whole lot going on as far as trying to create a fan base. And it's not just about the wrestling. Right.
And I think that where you were saying that I kind of wanted to expound upon in the last show, which I also thought that you made a clear point on. But look, Roman Reigns objectively is a handsome guy, right? It's a good looking cat.
Oh, yeah.
Women, though, are very, very big on Roman Reigns. I remember it was a few months ago. We had some family friends of my wife's in town, and SmackDown just happened to be on. It came on while the TV was on, and Roman was starting the segment out. And Roman is in the ring, and there's a whole conversation happening in the kitchen, and one of the girls looks up and goes, "Who's that?" And then I'm like, "Oh, that's Roman Reigns." And she goes, who? She's like, what's his? This was the next word that came out of her mouth. What's his Instagram?
That is, you know what I mean? Roman makes sure, I mean, he's got the perfect teeth, you know what I mean? The body's right. The hair is flowing. Yeah, I mean, Roman got a lot of sex appeal going on. And that's something that I don't think that should ever be overlooked
And,
as far as wrestling goes.
Let me just say, too, when he took the chest protector off, stock went up in the women's eyes.
Oh,
you know
man,
I mean?
look, man. Look, I mean,
and some of the men out there, like, I'm not discriminating, like some of the men.
Like, you know, Aquaman, you know?
Yes.
Come on. You think women watch the movie because they want to see the fish, man? That's just...
Well, I saw Aquaman. That movie sucks.
Well, it sucked.
They made $1 billion.
But the brother look good, right? He's jacked. He chills a lot of granite.
He looks awesome.
So my thing is, you know, the movie wouldn't have been a success if you would have had a certain guy playing that same role.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I mean, and to think that professional wrestling, I guess this is what was irritating. Like, professional wrestling is no different than any other visual medium, right?
Yeah.
And like, especially acting in movies and television, you know, there's a reason why someone goes, "Oh, that looks like a movie star," because they're like, "Man, they look good. They look great.
They look real
Teeth,
good.
hair, tan, dress, everything got it going on, right?
Yeah.
Male or female."
Yeah.
And I don't know why we're saying that professional wrestling should be any different. And it doesn't mean that you have to be a, you know, Barbie looking, you know, look like a Barbie doll out there by any stretch of the imagination. But to say that wrestling's not visually appealing, or wrestlers shouldn't be visually appealing in some form or fashion, right? I think it's crazy. Like, even off a sex appeal thing, but like Taker or Kane or Mankind, they all looked a certain way to invoke a certain emotion.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I feel like that's all that you're saying at the end of the day, is you're trying to look a certain way to invoke a certain emotion. I see how people are trying to spin it, but that's all that is. That's spin. Spin's not real.
People that's trying to spin it, they've never been in the business before. They've never made money in this business. They've probably never been in any form of show business, entertainment. You know, so I don't put a whole lot of stock and a lot of weight into what people say, you know, when I do make a comment like that. I know exactly what I'm talking about. And if a young, you know, person that's getting into this business, if they don't know what I'm talking about, maybe they should come and talk to me, and then I'll tell them exactly what I mean, you know, because it's all about trying to get to the next level in this business. It's not just, let me tell you, let me just get this straight. It's not just about wrestling in this wrestling business. Okay. Wrestling is a part of it. But becoming a star, I've known a boatload of great wrestlers, guys that could wrap circles around me from a wrestling perspective. But that's not what this thing is really all about. It's about entertaining the fans, making the fans feel a certain way, taking them on a journey that they're going to remember for the rest of their life, creating memories for those fans for the rest of their lives. It's got so much more to do with than just getting in the ring and wrestling. And if you think that way, you're going to be bruised, beat up, battered, and torn by the time your career is over with, and you're going to have no money.
Zero. Yeah.
Facts. Bottom line.
It's just how it is, man. I mean, like, and you're right. Wrestling is so much more than just what goes on in the ring. And I think people who became fans, you didn't become fan because of a guy who's just a great technical wrestler. You grew to appreciate those people as you became more of a fan. But everybody's fandom came from the same thing. Like, you saw Hogan cutting a promo, or you saw Austin kicking McMahon's ass all over the place in a beer truck, or the grocery store fight. Right? That's why you became a fan, and that's just so much more than wrestling, than a wrist lock and a headlock.
You know, I mean, the wrestling can only take the business only so far, you know, and the entertainment part of this business is what really fuels it. The storylines, I really think, is what really fuels. I will say WWE. I can't speak for other wrestling companies or anything like that, but WWE, it's always been about the drama. How many times have we seen a wedding at one of the pay-per-views.
And it all goes to hell every time.
How many times have the wedding gone to hell? I mean, come on.
Every time.
How many times have we seen a contract signing? You know, and 9 times out of 10, the contract signing. That's part of professional wrestling. So it's not just about wrestling, and people that think that, just let them think what they want. But I think they're totally off base as far as what this thing's about.
Well, and to go back to kind of the conversation of last time was, and no one is saying that anyone is disregarding the female athletes or the male, for that matter, of their in-ring acumen. We still want to see the wrestling match. Like we want to see the match, but the match isn't the only thing that we're watching the show for, right? And like the best example, because I think she's the GOAT when it comes to female wrestling, is Trish Stratus, and she has a visual appeal, an obvious one that's always been well known. But when she gets in the ring, you find yourself getting behind her or being against her, depending on what kind of side of the coin she's playing, because she can go out there and work. But there's more to Trish Stratus than just her in-ring abilities, and there's more to Trish Stratus than just her, physical attraction. It's the whole package that we're talking about.
Well, I mean, naming one female that has made it to the top level that didn't have sex appeal. Just naming one. Can you?
I'm really thinking.
No, I'm serious. I mean,
I'm really thinking.
I'm being serious here. You're not going to be able to think of one because it's just like I know this is another tangent. We got to take a quick break. Let's take this break and we'll come back and I'll make my point. Stick around. You're in the Hall of Fame. We'll be back in a minute.
Hey, this is two-time Hall of Famer Booker T, and I want to invite all of you to Summer of Champions 9, going down at the Humble Civic Center, 7 o'clock bell time, guys. Brought to you by one Walker, Texas lawyer. Don't miss out on the biggest show of the summer, where all the championships will be on the line. Don't miss out. Don't get shut out. Summer of Champions 9. Now can you dig that, sucker?
Welcome back inside the Hall of Fame, guys. We are coming to you from ESPN 975, 92.5. We're just talking about, female wrestlers, wrestling in general, sports and entertainment, all of that and the above. But my point I was making just a second ago, talking about sex appeal. Just say, for instance, you don't have to have sex appeal to be a good singer, But the ones that do have sex appeal, they make a whole lot of money. You know what I mean? You look at Beyonce, you look at Ciara, you even go back to the day, Janet Jackson. What's the latest ones?
Rihanna's a recent example, or even if you look at some of the female rappers, the Doja Cats, the Saweeties, Megan Thee Stallion.
Come on, exactly. That's exactly what I'm talking about. So It's like, of course, it's part of it. You think you think all of those artists would be as popular as they are if they wasn't beautiful. And as well as using their sex appeal, and
super talented as well.
Talented.
And I think that it's really a marketing thing, right? Oh, yeah. Like they're marketable, and again, if you want to take it to the male side of things, like every woman's dream guy.
No. Go. You want to take it from the male side? Go back to Milli Vanilli.
Right.
Okay. Milli Vanilli. Those guys, they went all the way to winning a Grammy, but you look at the guys who was really singing the songs. They couldn't even put those guys on air. You know what I mean? Because they were not appealing. No, I'm serious. They wasn't appealing enough to really make the money that they were trying to make with those songs. They let two guys that couldn't even speak English do it, and they won a Grammy. And they looked good. They had abs. Come on, Rob and Fab back in the day. All the ladies wanted to get with Rob and Fab. So if you don't understand where I'm going here, that's just you not understanding business and the way this thing works.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. And, again, man, and the thing is too, it's like, I don't know, just an appeal. That's the word that everyone needs to focus on. Because that's what wrestling's about. It really is. I mean, and all entertainment. You just nailed it with all entertainment, right? You have to be a marketable star in some way, right? And here's the thing. Here's the thing too. Let me say this, because you've heard the term. There's a leading man, right? Or the leading man, and then there's like supporting characters.
Yeah.
Now, normally, like if Denzel, let's just say, is the leading man, right? Brad Pitt isn't going to be supporting, right? They're going to get some guy, like Bruce in the supporting role. That's the first name that came up to my mind, right? And no disrespect to the brother Bruce, but I'm saying you want to the star of the show is going to look a certain way, right? The person who's on top billing, and in wrestling, top billing's top of the card. And if you look at the top billing right now in WWE, Rhea Ripley's definitely got a cool appeal to her. Roman Reigns got a cool appeal to him. Seth Rollins, Asuka, Asuka's got an appeal to her. Bianca. I mean, it's just. I mean, look, this isn't even an opinion. This isn't even an opinion. It's just the way it is.
Just the way it is. I mean, you look at like these singing shows, like Ruben Studdard. You remember Ruben Studdard?
Of course,
he's a big guy.
American Idol,
big guy to sing. But he was a big guy. So we haven't seen a whole lot of Ruben Studdard. I don't know exactly what happened to his singing career or anything like that. But I told Sharmell, I said, man, if we would have made Ruben Studdard sexy, man, he'd have been like Luther, if he'd have had a nickname like Stud Muffin Studdard, he
could have been like a Barry White.
Could have been like Barry, you know what I mean? Barry was sexy. Barry was a big, let me tell you, man. I'm gonna tell you right now, Barry White, man, I can only imagine the liaisons this man has had throughout his lifetime. The brother was a big man, but the ladies loved some Barry White. You know what I mean? And trust me, if Barry was just Barry or without the sex appeal, it wouldn't have been the same Barry. Bottom line. Yeah.
I mean, and again, like it's just like you said, and a sex appeal. Because think about remember Notorious B.I.G. Biggie.
Yeah.
To go to another kind of example off of Barry White, he had the record Big Papa. The man was married to Faith Evans. Faith Evans is a beautiful woman. Beautiful. Yeah. And even Biggie said, what did he say? What was the line? I'm fat, black, and ugly as ever.
Yeah.
Was that the line?
Yeah.
But he had a swagger about him.
He had a swazzy. He had
an appeal.
He had a big sexy about him. You know what I mean? And he flowed with it. I mean, he didn't try to run away from it. You know what I mean? So that's just me talking in general about the way I think business works, not just the wrestling business. So if you hear something like that, and if you see something like Booker T is saying women need to show more skin to get over, that's stupid. Okay. First and foremost. But like I say, to not lose your sex appeal in this business as well as most businesses, if you're trying to make it to a certain level, that's just the way it works.
Yeah, I totally agree. We do have a super chat that I think came in from our guy, Mr. One and Only Cali Toenail.
Give us some Roni, brother. Oh, yeah.
He said, when I was a kid, me and my bro were wrestling, and he went to pick me up, and I farted in his face. Okay. And he power bombs me through the floor. Did that ever happen to you? And you had to break off a receipt to that person? Oh, okay. That's an interesting question, I guess. Did anybody ever break wind in the ring or do something they weren't supposed to?
Not that I remember. That would have been a rib, if something like that happened, or it could have just actually happened. But no, I don't remember anything like that happening in the ring. Everything in the ring was always about being serious for me at that moment in time, and because I wasn't doing it for me, I was doing it for the fans. So no, I don't remember anything like that.
He also said, also said, my woman loved Roman Reigns more than me. Well, there you go.
Oh, I mean, it's just, I say that all the time. I say that all the time as far as, when you're on television, it's not real. So you don't want to bring, your real life into it. It's just like for me, for the longest time when I was a young man, I didn't even want anybody to know I had a girlfriend or anything like that. When I got married, I didn't even want people to know I was married, until they actually found out, just because it wasn't something I needed in my life to create that aura around me, where there again, fans that may want to get with me they see something like that, they don't have a chance. You know,
Right.
they may not buy the t-shirt. The merchandise sales might go down. So I'm thinking about stuff like that.
Well, you know, it's interesting you say that because I just got put on game for something that some women on Instagram do. And this was told to me by a friend of mine who she's got a very, very pretty girl, got a large following on social media, and she's now dating somebody. And she said, these were the exact words, and I'll never forget this. She said, I have to figure out how to soft launch my man on my social page. And I said, what does that mean? She goes, well, you don't want to just post him because then you'll lose so many followers because all the guys who are following you, they're not going to want to follow you anymore. And she's like, I need my followers because I get brand deals that way.
Yes.
She goes, so I was like, so what's a soft launch? She's like, well, I might post a picture in my story of me touching somebody else, touching his hand, but I'm not going to show him. Right. And that way it's ambiguous. Like, who is that? I don't even know. Is that somebody? Is she doing a modeling thing? Is this like for a magazine? You don't know. That's called soft launch. I didn't hear this term until the other day. And it kind of goes into what we're talking about. Like what you just said. If they see the wedding band, all of a sudden the maybe sexual interest that they had in you or the physical attraction or the crush or the, whatever, it can all go away and your pocketbook is impacted because of it.
I talk about it all the time. Your personal life and who you really are and who you're portraying on television. It's two different people. I always said if the Undertaker was, the phenom on Monday night and on Wednesday night, he was a chef on Twitch, things wouldn't work out properly. You know what I mean? So being able to keep that aura.
It's always the funniest thing.
No, serious. Being able to keep that aura is very, very important for your brand. The Undertaker, he kept it hidden for more than 20 years, as far as keeping that image going to where people actually felt like he was the actual dead man because they didn't see him out in Walmart. They didn't see him out, on TikTok. They didn't see him on podcasts and stuff like that. He was the phenom. He was the Undertaker, and people bought into it until he retired. Even knowing the game has changed, just think about it. On paper, in past 2010, the Undertaker don't supposed to work.
Absolutely not.
I mean, even maybe like when the NWO came out. NWO came out, the Undertaker should have started having a problem.
Mm-hmm.
You with me on this?
And he would have if he burns Austin at the stake on Monday, and then Thursday he goes, now we're gonna make a seared foie gras with quince and cranberry.
Exactly my point, man.
Bring it to a simmer.
I mean, come on. Exactly my point. So it's like having that image and upholding it is very, very important, and it goes all the way across the board. And if that's not a good enough example for you right there, talking about what I'm talking about as far as, making sure your brand is tight, you're never going to understand, guys. Stick around. You're in the Hall of Fame. We'll be back in a minute.
To the Hall of Fame. Here's Booker T and Brad Gilmore.
Ship, welcome back inside the Hall of Fame, guys. We just chilling, talking a little sports and entertainment, everything, all sports and entertainment coming to you from ESPN 97.5, 92.5. And we just chopping it up. We got any more super chats?
Yeah, we do. This is from
super chat.
Almost played the wrong sound there. DJ Richardson says, how was it taking the stink face from Rikishi?
It wasn't one of my greatest moments. I can say, I can say that.
That's putting it lightly.
No, I'm saying it wasn't one of my greatest moments, but in a situation like that, you just got to do it. It's just part of what we do. It's wrestling. It's entertaining the fans. I tried my best. I held my breath and tilted the head to the side. It just took it. You know what I'm saying? But I'm only glad it happened to me once in my career because it's not something you want to be remembered for or anything like that. But taking one for the business, look at it that way.
Did you have to be talked into that?
No. I mean,
No?
I've never been one of those guys to where I think I'm going to have egg on my face because of doing something like that. I mean, that's just part of the business. It's just part of wrestling. And the shoe could have easily been on the other foot. You know what I mean? As well as
Or something else.
Exactly. But it's just about, that's his character. You get him over, you go out and make the guy shine, and we move on. I remember one day I hit Rikishi so hard in the ring. He wanted to fight me, man. He said, man, you ever hit me like that again, we're going to be fighting. And I looked at him and I go, it's TV, brother. And he goes, you're right. So I get it. He gets it. It's just part of the business.
It just is what it is, man. The stink face. It's interesting that Rikishi, like if you ask me, like what comes to mind when you think of Rikishi, and remember, he went through a few gimmicks. He was the Sultan at one point, where they had him completely under a hood. And then he was a part of, what was the name of that tag team in the early 90s? You remember like the crap. Cause it was kind of like a hip hop gimmick a little bit.
The Too Cool?
No, but he was a part of Too Cool. I'm trying to remember what the name of that gimmick was because he had a different name. But anyway, my point is he ends up getting Rikishi. And if you ask me what I remember about him, I remember him dancing in Too Cool. And then I remember him doing the stink face. This man got the Samoan SWAT team is what I was thinking of.
Yeah, SWAT team. When you said a rap group, I was like, wait a minute.
I thought it had like a hip hop element to it. But yeah. So, and then Too Cool, he was in the Head Shrinkers. He had like several gimmicks. And Rikishi was what it was. Now, as a worker, is he because he's one of the Samoans, he's a part of the Anoa'i family. Did you enjoy working with Rikishi when y'all had matches?
Yeah, Rikishi was always a good worker, man. He's always smooth. He was always on point as far as being safe. Like I say, when he wasn't a guy that that was stiff or anything like that. And for me, I was kind of stiff sometimes, But nah, man, he was A1 worker, one of the guys that you could definitely count on and trust more than anything. And that's the one thing about going in the ring with someone, if you can trust him, especially someone as big as Rikishi is, because he packs a lot of weight. He's got and he's pretty strong as well. You know what I mean? If he wanted to hurt you, he could hurt you, pretty easily, but he's one of those guys that you could definitely trust in the ring, every time.
And if you have an answer to this question, you don't want to say it, it's fine. But was there, because it just popped in my head, but was there ever anybody who you thought wasn't safe that you were asked to work with, that you were like, can we talk about this?
There's a lot
you don't have to say, but
there's a lot of unsafe guys out there.
Yeah.
That has hurt a lot of people. But nah, man. But nah, me personally, I didn't work him. I didn't work the guy. I mean, I didn't work too many guys that would hurt people and stuff like that.
Okay.
But, no. Everybody I worked with was pretty safe. I worked with Christian one night, and I went out, man, and as soon as the match started, he hit me in the eye with a right hand. Bang! Everything just went black. And he just, from that point, just starts to kicking my ass. All right. And I'm like, what is going on here? Right. And I got in the back. I waited on Christian to come through the curtain because I would have killed him. I didn't want to do it in the ring because I didn't know what the hell was going on. We got back in the back, and I tell Christian, I was, man, what the hell is you thinking? And he pulls me to the side and says, let me talk to you for a second. Brother, they wired me up, man. They told me to go out there and they told me to really get raw. And I just lost it. And I go, well, you could have told me about it, But no, man, he's one of my best friends. And he did that to me. But no, most of the times you're in there with guys that they're normally professional and normally pretty safe. Most of the time. I've heard of a few guys, though, that has been totally reckless and unsafe. And we don't see those guys around too much either. So that's a good thing.
That's a great thing. Here is R. London.
Super chat. You don't mess with my little privates, man.
He wants to know. I love that job. Book, do you have any recollection of your All About the Five promo on TNA? It was hilarious.
Man, All About the Five, man. I was creating as I was going that day. I didn't have anything written. That wasn't a promo that was scripted or anything. They gave me the mic and I just started talking. And the African accent, I don't know, Jamaican accent. That was a little bit of Mexican accent. It had a little bit of everything in there. But I'm serious. It was just something. I was trying my best to entertain myself in TNA. When I got to TNA, I really had high hopes to really be able to capture some moments in that company. And after about 2 weeks, I realized none of that was going to happen. So I just started acting a fool. I really did. I really started acting a fool. I did some of the most. I'm actually ashamed of myself for some of the stuff I did in TNA. I really am. Because I knew it wasn't going anywhere, and I lost my zeal for really going out and performing the way I think I always have before that. So
you weren't as motivated.
I lost my motivation. I had a 2-year contract, and I lost my motivation just because I didn't see a lot of guys. It's just like I've been watching Last Dance lately. I'm at episode 9, and to watch Michael Jordan's drive. Man, he was like a tyrant. He wanted nothing but the best from the guys that was around him. And I know when I went into TNA, I felt I had that same feeling as far as I want to push these guys. I want to push these guys to, really see exactly how far they can go, because I knew I had some young talent, that I could really, go out there and, maybe create some magic with. And then when none of that happened, I lost, my passion just because I knew it was out of my hands. It was out of my control. It was nothing I could do with it. I was nowhere near that circle of people that was running it or anything like that. So I just literally just said, man, I'm gonna just come pick my check up. I'm gonna go out and try to have some fun and try to create something at the same time. And when this 2 years over with, we'll move on.
And and then he ended up back in WWE, and that's where you've been ever since. Did you look at it like I don't know if this ever happened where you break. Say you and the girl going out for a while. Y'all have like 3 years in. Then y'all break up. You take a year away from each other. You see other people. Then you come back and you end up getting married. You don't really count the time that you were gone. And if someone says, how long y'all been together? Oh, 5 years. Even though there's that year gap. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Is that how you feel about TNA? Like, I never really left WWE. I just had an affair on the side for a couple years. I to put it.
Yeah, I mean, you can look at it that way.
It's a weird way to look at it, but I'm just
kind of look at it that way. But when I left WWE, I wasn't expecting to ever go back. It wasn't a thought process in my mind as far as I'm leaving WWE. I'm gonna go over here, and maybe I'll find. I literally thought that was the end of my WWE career, my WWE run. Totally had no expectations of going back to the company or anything like that. But when the opportunity came, I was like, boom, heck yeah. When they asked me to do Tough Enough, I was like, man, I'm all in. It's something I could do. It's something I can transition, from the ring to actually, coaching, whatnot. I already got a school, so I'm already known for coaching. So this is perfect. And then that led to the commentary thing and the analyst, whatnot. And now I've been there ever since. But nah, man, not for 1 minute.
We have about a minute left. Should we revisit your classic promo?
Go right ahead, man.
Do you want to revisit it?
Great promo.
This is all about the five.
You know what I say? I say, look at these bums. Look at the dress. You see, in my country, they say, if it looks like a chicken, if it clucks like a chicken, it's a chicken. You see, you want to talk about the mafia, you talk about the mafia to the face. And you see, from this day forward, the war will start right here tonight. And you know what I say? By the end of this year, there won't be any of you left. And you know one more thing. It's all about the five. You know what I mean? It's all about the five.
We got to take a break. Stick around. You're in the Hall of Fame. We'll be back in a minute.
You dig it, sucker?
You're listening to the Hall of Fame. Here's Booker T and Brad Gilmore.
Out. When you come to the WWA, this is what you're going to have to face right here. It's the GI Bro.
Well, let me tell you something, Steve, baby. I've been noticing all these big guys like the Super Collider, the Warrior, this Thor. Well, let me... First things first, man. I got a new haircut. Would you like to see it, man?
Yeah, I want to see. All right.
GI Bro. GI Bro is my name. And beating people up is my game. Look in my eyes. Everybody in the WWA, I just want you to know one thing. The GI Bro is ready, willing, and able to take on all comers in the WWA. That means everybody. Thor, Cherokee Warrior, Super Collider, mainly because I seen what you did. You came out, you tore the sign up, you ripped it out of my little private's hand, and you stripped it in two, man. That's something you don't do. You don't mess with my little privates, man. It's a war. Let me tell you, when I get you in the square circle, when I get you in the combat zone, when I get you in the Genki zone, that's when I'm going to declare World War III on you and take you clean out of the game, man. Ah!
Welcome back inside the Hall of Fame. Oh, man. I went from that all the way to the five.
Wait, we need to have a real conversation about Booker T as the GOAT promo. Like, in my country, if it walks like a chicken and it clucks like a chicken, it's a chicken. Look at the dress. Look at the dress.
These bums.
Yo, that is hilarious. That is so funny.
Oh my God.
Look at these bums.
I don't know where I got that stuff from, bro.
I don't know where you got that from either.
I don't know why. I swear, man. I don't know what I was thinking. I was just trying to create something, you know.
James Weston says, in my country, America? Oh, man.
That's what's stupid about promos like that in my country. In Houston? That's what you talking about? That's good. That's my country. You know, so it's just the stupidest thing in the world when you hear something like that, man.
Oh,
it's just,
God.
you know, that's what wrestling is to me. Wrestling
it's all about defense.
Wrestling is to be embellished. I don't know where the accent came from. Like I said, I've been watching The Last King of Scotland with Forrest Whitaker, and man, that movie was so powerful, and it made me like, man, I got to capture this. And I don't know, I'm like that. Even like when I first saw Black Snow, who is a poet, who's a real guy, a real poet. The first time I saw him work, I was like, man, I got to capture this. I got to capture it, you know. And for me, it's the stupidest thing in the world. For me to be able to be in that moment and have that moment at the same time and bring it to life. Yeah, it's crazy, man. I did another promo with the Main Event Mafia where me and Kurt Angle, we were arguing about No, not me and Kurt ain't gonna be in. Scott Steiner. We was arguing about who was gonna have a match, and we said let's figure it out by playing Eeny Meeny Miny Mo. The stupidest promo in the world. You know what I mean? Kevin Nash ended up kicking me out of the locker room. You know, I ended up looking at the wall for about 5 seconds. It's the stupidest promo in the world, you know, but I was having so much fun in TNA. Things, of course, kind of like went sideways just because a couple of, you know, issues that, you know, wasn't to my liking. Let's just say that. Not to bring up rehash old dirt or anything like that. And things kind of like just started going sideways from that point. But I tell you, man, I thought that company had so much potential. I remember working in England, and we had 2 nights back to back, and I had a chance to work Rhino. And man, it was the most electrifying night perhaps I've had inside the square circle, perhaps ever. It was amazing. The crowd was it was maybe only 5,000 people, but it was an arena that only held like 5,000 people. And the fans were going, Rhino, Booker T, Rhino, Booker T, right? And they did that, bro. They did that for at least a good solid minute straight. And me and Rhino, we didn't even touch each other. We just looked at each other and said, bro, just stay right there, man. Just let them keep going. And second night, we went back, same adrenaline, same feel. And I was like, man, this company have such a hell of a chance at making it. I really thought TNA was on the verge of being what AEW is now.
I was a big TNA fan. I've said it for a long time. There was a moment where it was during the summer. I was flipping through channels and I saw it was Fox Sports Net, and I saw the 6-sided ring and Scott Hall was in it. And I said, what is this? And then I started watching once they got off the weekly pay-per-view model. And Impact, the show, man, it used to be appointment television for me. And actually, when a few months ago, maybe a year ago, I got that Impact Plus app because I was looking for a particular match of yours I wanted to try to find and bring up on the show. And I think it was you and Sting or something like that. And you were Sting's mystery partner. So I wanted to go find that match. And I watched a few of the old Impacts. It was actually a really good show. Like, there was a stretch of time where you could actually make the argument that Impact had a better weekly show than Raw. Like, and I'm not jiving or anything. Like, I really liked the show. There was established characters. There was a crop of new guys. And for me as a fan tuning in to see Booker and Hogan and Hall and Nash and all you guys and Angle, I learned about Samoa Joe, AJ Styles, Bobby Roode, Amazing Red, Consequences Creed, so many guys. Eric Young, Petey Williams, that I had no idea about. They were all awesome workers. God, this rain is coming in.
Yeah, it is. It's coming down pretty hard out there. But nah, man, I feel the same way. TNA was definitely on the rise, and I thought that talent roster that they had, with that core, those young guys that had been those originals, really thought those guys really could be pushed to the next level. And if you know me, you know I'm willing to put some shine on the next guys. You know what I mean? And that's something I really want to have a chance to do. I mean, I got a chance to work AJ. I got a chance to work Samoa Joe, Bobby Roode, but none of it really had any real significance or like something you could sink your teeth into and say, man, I remember that stuff was really, really good. The stuff I did here with Samoa Joe in Houston, that was some memorable stuff for me because I didn't bleed for people. That was one of the only times that I bled in a match throughout my whole career. That was maybe the only time that I ever bled. And the thing was, in that match, I was so wanting to get Samoa Joe over to that next level. I went in that match, and Joe left me in the middle of that ring, man, laid out. And it was his night. And I was so happy about it. I was one of the greatest nights of my life in TNA.
Yeah, that was what was the name of that show? Not the Great American Bash, but
what, Victory Road?
Victory Road. Yeah.
Victory Road,
Victory Road.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Great match, great show. And like I said,
great match.
TNA had a great run, but the one thing people are going to remember, and they need to never forget, it's all about the 5.
It's all about the 5.
It's all about it. We have a here's another super chat. DJ Richardson, do you think the Attitude Era would have been even better if it had today's graphics? You know what? That's an interesting question, because if you go look at those Attitude Era shows, the production was not very good by today's standards. I don't think, honestly, I don't think it would have made a difference.
I don't think you can mess with anything that happened in the Attitude Era to have made it better.
Yeah.
I think not having the graphics made the guys have to go out there and really, really perform at another level to where you looked at those guys more so and didn't even think about the graphics. You're not thinking about the graphics back then until now. You know what I mean? This younger era, this younger generation. Back then, it was all about the money and the miles, baby. It's about getting behinds in those arenas, man. So it was a little bit different back then. I think the Attitude Era, it was the years of the gunslingers, man. Everybody was like Wild Wild West back then, bro.
And if I can say something, and maybe it's just nostalgia for me or what have you, but I think that wrestling overall, and this is both major companies, I feel like it's overproduced. It looks a little too clean. It looks a little too polished. It's a little too shiny. I think, and this is just my personal feeling on the aesthetic, wrestling can be a little bit, it doesn't have to be so pretty.
I say, me personally, I'm a big believer in the wrestling being pretty, almost to the point to where, like, acting, to where, just say, for instance, if you fluff your line, the director's going to say, cut, redo that. It has to look right. It has to look, pristine. And I think the wrestling, it has to have a raw feel to it, but it still have to be clean at the same time. Promos, I think, is overproduced. I think definitely, just say, for instance, you're listening to the 5 promo there. None of that was, written or anything like that. And if you go back and listen to it,
you don't say.
No. But when you go back and listen to it, I didn't say nothing.
No.
In about 3 minutes or 2 minutes or whatever I had there, maybe 2 minutes, I didn't say nothing in 2 minutes. when you go back and listen to it, but it sounds good.
Sounds damn good.
Sounds like, oh man, this is a boss right here, dog. You don't want to mess with this dude right here. So yeah, that's the art of doing the promo.
Look at the dress. Bums.
Look at these. You don't say these bums. Look at these bums.
And you know what I like too is you go, and one more ting.
I said thing. Then I
said ting.
Ting. We got to take a break. You're in the Hall of Fame. We'll be back in a minute, man.
One more thing.
Hey, this is 2-time Hall of Famer Booker T, and I want to invite all of you to Summer of Champions 9, going down at the Humble Civic Center, 7 o'clock bell time, guys. Brought to you by one Walker, Texas lawyer. Don't miss out on the biggest show of the summer, where all the championships will be on the line. Don't miss out. Don't get shut out. Summer of Champions 9. Now can you dig that, sucker?
If you notice, welcome back inside the Hall of Fame. If you notice, that's the same walkout that young Booker T did.
It sure is.
You notice that?
You have a style, Book. Some things don't change.
Oh my God, man. That's the same freaking walkout, man. Oh my God, man. It's raining like crazy.
This is crazy. You know it's bad.
But it was a thunderstorm. They said it was going to be a thunderstorm warning in effect to like 5:15, but it's 6:30 now. It should have blown over, but it's coming down like cats and dogs out there right now.
You know it's bad when you got to keep looking at your window. You know what I'm saying? Like every time it goes, I go.
Yeah, I just heard something pop out there. And one thing about this area right here where I'm at is I got this one transformer right out here on 2351. It blows every time something like this happens. Every time. So I'm expecting everything to blow out here any moment now. Seriously.
Well, time is precious then. Let's go to our next super chat. Big Breezo said, I always looked at you as a serious wrestler. That's why I love your commentary. Bret Hart gave you a nod in book 2, maybe his book. Love you, book.
Hey, man, I was always serious in the ring. I was never one of those guys that wanted to play wrestler. I never wanted to do ha-ha in the ring or anything like that. Just because I always need the fans to feel a certain way about me throughout my career. I tell guys all the time, the way you start your career, the way you're going to finish it. So when you just say, for instance, to start making guys laugh, throughout your matches, you're going to have to keep them laughing. You're not going to be the guy that's going to be looked at seriously to make it to that next level as well. And then on the commentary side, I try to still be funny and entertaining, but I still try to be serious at the same time. I'll stop and take a pause just to, put somebody over, just like the Creed brothers, for instance, and say, man, these guys, perhaps got, a major future, multi-time tag team champions. These guys might run a dynasty in this. To be able to stop and do that, because I'm looking at them from a talent, from a realistically a talent perspective, and man, I really like what these guys bring to the table, and I can see these guys 10 years from now being literally Hall of Famers. That's what I'm talking about. So yeah, I love what I do, man. I'm having such a blast in NXT, with Vic and that whole crew down there, the young guys, watching the growth of the system, and being a part of it at the same time. It's really, really awesome.
I actually want to ask you about a story that came out today about NXT. We'll get to that in 1 minute. We have another super chat here, I believe. Yeah, this is from Breland.
Super chat.
I'm going to also flip this question to you, Book, but it's addressed to me. Brad, so far in your lifetime, what's been your favorite year in WWE, and what's your favorite match from that year? I have an odd answer to this. I like the year 2000 because it's just nostalgic for me. And my favorite match is that triangle ladder match they had at WrestleMania with the Dudleys, the Hardys, Edge, and Christian. I remember being a kid, and I'd never seen anything like that, man. I'd never seen anything like that. And Jeff Hardy, God bless him. I mean, he jumped from that 20-foot ladder in the aisleway at the Anaheim Pond and went through those tables on Bubba. And that's where Jim Ross had the call, good God Almighty, he might be broken in half.
Yeah. Oh, man, for me, I've had such a great time throughout my WWE career. It was just a fun ride. And what people don't understand, the stuff that you don't see is sometimes the most fun part for me, like being on the road, the overseas tours, making the locker room laugh, being, at the top of the hotel, looking down from the balcony and, me and Charmel watching all the boys run around, falling down drunk and stuff like that, having so much fun, I'm serious. It's like a big family, me and Charmel just sitting there watching it. But then, my favorite time in WWE was, I must say this, and this is true. This is a true story. When I got to WWE, I lost the world title. Then I won it back. Then I lost it. And then I didn't get the world title back until 2006.
It's a long time.
And I tell you, I did not think about the world title run or getting the world title that whole time. I really didn't focus on that at all. But in 2006, when Charmel came on board in WWE, and the reason she came on board is because I didn't want to do it anymore in WWE. Vince McMahon said, let's hire Charmel, you know what I mean? And we came together, and then I became king and she was queen. That was the best time in my wrestling career. That was literally the best time in my whole wrestling career, bar none. Us two together against the world. I remember Charmel and I think, where were we at? Chicago? Philly maybe. We slept in the car because we didn't want to get a hotel room because we had about 5 hours before we had to catch the next flight. So we let's just sleep in the car. Like, baby, what do you think? She's like, yeah, let's do that. So when you got a woman like that, you're like, man, let's ride or die, man. So I tell you, man, so many nights, man. She was watching my back, riding down the highway. She would drive for me, make sure I got there so I could prepare to get ready to go out there and do it again the next day. It was the best freaking time in my whole wrestling career, the whole 30 years.
You know, when I hear about stories like that, like sleeping in the car because you don't want to get a hotel room because you got to go to this town or what have you, I've been listening to a lot of Mick Foley has a great show. He's got a really great show that he does, and I like listening to his. He's probably the only one that I actually listen to, and he talks about. I guess he was known in the business as being kind of a, I don't know how would you say, I don't know if frugal's the.
Oh yeah, that's Mick.
That's, you know, and he said sometimes he wouldn't spring for the 1-star hotel. He'd appreciate a fan's couch to crash on for the evening. And I'm gonna get some of the details wrong because it just popped in my head. And during the Montreal screw job, he had found some fan in Canada who was going to drive him to do the whole tour, and he was going to be staying with this fan. And Mick didn't have his own car. He was at the fan's mercy. He had left his passport, I guess, back in New York on accident, and they drove across the border with no problem. So he felt like he was stuck in Canada. And then he made the decision after the screw job to not go into work the next day because he was, you know, he didn't like how Brett was treated. And there he is just hanging out with a fan.
That's true, man.
The day after the Montreal screw job.
It's crazy, bro. I mean, it's like right now, he might still sleep in that van. I mean, he might still sleep in the car because, no, I'm serious, because right now, with Mick Foley, like, you know, just say, for instance, man, I need you to help me out on this treasures thing, man. And he'll say, man, the only thing I need is a minivan. That's the only thing he needs. Minivan, you know, because he's going to be sleeping in it, going from one spot to the next, you know. But he's a good dude, man. He's a good dude. I was there in Germany when Mick Foley lost his ear. Yeah, I was a young kid, man, sitting there looking through the curtain. I actually watched him and Vader do the spot. I saw it actually happen right before my very eyes. I saw him get caught, you know, between the ropes, and I saw how tough it was for him to try to wiggle his way out of it. When he wiggled his way out of it, bang, it popped his ear right off at the same time, just tore it, literally just tore it right off. And I remember a guy by the name of Gary Michael Capetta. He walked in the back in the dressing room, and he had Mick Foley's earlobe in his hand. He goes, I think this is Mick Foley's ear. And Mick Foley looks at him with blood streaming down his ear, down his neck, and he looks at Gary Capetta and he goes, baby. Like, let me get the hell out of this business.
You know, he's definitely a special breed, man. And like I said, I really love listening because he's a guy who, yeah, he put a lot of thought into this. You know, he just didn't do things just to do them. You know, he would think about his characters and the way the gimmick was presented, and would my character do it this way or would they do it this way? You know, would it be Mankind in the street fight, or should it be Cactus Jack? And I don't know. I really appreciate his insight into the industry. He's actually somebody who I'd love to have on this show. I think y'all would have a literally a Hall of Fame chat. One day, because
Mick, definitely we go way back on that WCW run. I was there with him for that. I got a chance to work Mick Foley, you know, in that WCW run at the same time, and I got a chance to see him up close and personal. How good this dude really was in this business. He was really good. He really was.
Have you ever heard him tell his Hall of Fame story?
About forgetting to mention his wife? I was there with him, man. I was right there with him. He came up to me and he goes, hey, Book, you had a great speech. You had everything. And the one thing I forgot to mention my wife. And I go, oh, Mick. Yeah, I swear. Because he had to, I was runner up, and I swear he had to listen to me. And when he heard me, he heard me putting Charmel over. I'm sure that's when it hit him, you know.
I didn't say anything about my wife.
Oh, my God, man. Yeah, I was right. He came right up to me and he told me that, man. But I'm sure she understood it. That was Mick. Mick was in his zone when he was getting his Hall of Fame ring, man. He was definitely that Mick Foley, that entertainer, that performer. He had to go out there. I got one last run left. We got to take a break. Stick around. You're in the Hall of Fame. We'll be back in a minute.
I am the Rocket, Josiah John. I'm training at Reality of Wrestling. I've wanted to be a wrestler since I was a little kid, since watching it with my dad for the first time and seeing guys like Booker T wrestle. That's when I knew that's what I wanted to do. So I just had to take that leap, take that drive, and chase the dream. The greatest thing about Reality of Wrestling is all the knowledge that's here. From all the trainers, Ryan Davison, Brian Key, I am the Rocket. Yeah. One day, Booker T just called me Rocket.
And I got to give him a cool name, man. And Rocket is just something that stuck out with me. And I think that's something that's going to stick with him for a long time. He had Rocket on his shirt. I don't know if you noticed that, but he's definitely he's falling into it, man. And he's really buying into what this thing really, truly is. And if he could just keep his mind on point and stay focused, he definitely could do something in these positions.
I feel like I've been doing really well training here. Just coming as much as I can. Come early to work out before the actual training. We have like a whole gym for people to work out. What would I say to somebody that's on the fence about joining Reality of Wrestling? I would just tell you, just take the loop. Because everybody here is going to take care of you and help you get to where you need to be. You can make it here, you can make it anywhere.
Sure, welcome back inside the Hall of Fame, guys. We're getting close to wrapping this thing up. We got any more super chatters, Brad?
Let me see if we have any more that we have not addressed at this point. Does not look like it, but I did have a story that I wanted to run by you and get your analysis on. Nick Khan was speaking at JP Morgan's 51st annual Global Technology, Media, and Communications Conference. Sounds like a hoot, but he was speaking there in Boston last month, and they were talking about NXT, and they asked, Nick Khan mentioned that they see the potential of NXT being a true third brand and something they're trying to elevate by having some main roster stars feud with NXT stars, similar to what we saw from NXT and going into Raw is this Braun Breaker and Seth Rollins thing that they're doing. And this is what he said. We think NXT has the viability to be its own standalone brand instead of just being a developmental system, a third brand, if you will, where you can see crossover from our Raw superstars and SmackDown superstars to NXT while our young talent develops there still. Once we get all of that situated, then we can look at other nights of the week to develop new content as well. Assuming he means by the latter part of that statement, new content for NXT. I would imagine NXT does have a level up show that they do that has a lot of the young talent who's real fresh into the game have that opportunity to go out there and work. Do you like the idea? And this is the question I have for you based on his statement. Do you like the idea of NXT and main roster stars kind of jumping onto each other's shows? Do you feel like that would help accelerate the knowledge of some of the developmental talent?
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, I like that idea of being able to merge, main roster, like superstar talent to come down and work with, some of the NXT talent without developing them too quick to move to Raw. Instead of moving to Raw, instead of going up to that level, someone come down to this level to bring these guys up to this level. I talk about that kind of stuff all the time. That's like in general, like talking to somebody in the hood, talking to somebody that's younger. You got to go down to that level in order to be able to bring them up to your level. And I like that idea. That concept, I think, works because you got a lot of guys in NXT that they got a lot of talent, a lot of raw talent, but they don't even understand what it means to work with one of the main roster guys. And then they get in the ring, and merge with them, and they see such a huge difference as far as the way the guy works and, the strength, everything is going to be a little bit different. It's like a college player playing against an NBA player. It's going to be a huge, vast difference between the two. So I say, yeah, I like the idea, as well as being able to bring that star power like a Seth Rollins to NXT for that one night. The rating should be up. You know what I'm saying? Just for that one night, knowing that there's going to be a main event with Seth Rollins in there or whoever, that comes from the main roster. I think it's definitely a big jump. Great move.
And this might be a hard question for you to answer, but I'm going to put you on the spot. Can you think of 3 names of when you were starting out and developing, Booker T, the wrestler? Can you think of 3 veterans that you got in the ring with that you walked out of the ring knowing so much more that night?
Well, my first match, real match, was with a guy by the name of Dusty Wolf. And all I did was just keep my mouth shut. He just walked me around there, man, and made me feel and look like I knew what I was doing. I was like, wait a minute, what the hell's going on here? And then I worked with Killer Tim Brooks. And good God, man, we went over all kind of spots. And when we went into the match, we didn't do any of those spots that we talked about. Killer Tim Brooks beat the hell out of me and put me over. And I realized, wow, the crowd was going crazy the whole time. So I realized, you know, doing spots and working, two different things. And then I worked with, you know, when I finally made it, I worked with Steamboat. And there again, I didn't say one word in the match. Germany, 20 minutes. And I didn't say one word. Steamboat made me feel like I knew exactly what I was doing. I looked like a star, man. So I walked away from those matches literally learning more than any wrestling school or teacher could have ever taught me just by being in the ring with those guys.
Man, no words exchanged with Steamboat, and he's really as good as they all say.
Well,
I mean,
he talked the whole match. He talked the whole match.
I know, like, no words for you exchanged. Yeah.
I didn't say one word. I just had to know when I was driving. I had to know when he was giving me the keys, and I had to know when I had the ball, and I had to know when I was running. And I knew all of those things. And I tell my young guys, you know, if you can keep your ears open, if you can listen, if you're in there with a veteran, he could take you places that you could never, ever take yourself.
Man, that's so awesome. Just to listen to a guy like Steamboat. Did you take any of the arm drags?
Oh yeah,
Steamboat?
I took the arm drags. Most definitely.
And did they feel as sweet as they look?
Oh, they felt good. Me, you know, I like to float. You know what I mean? So I felt like I was, you know, the superior water bed. You know what I mean? Taking those arm drags.
A superior water bed, huh? Well, then, and so when you hear stories like that, it can only mean for the guys in NXT, like, you know, Seth Rollins versus Braun Breaker, that's the world heavyweight title. That's the world heavyweight champion. You know, and Seth's great. Seth is great.
And then again, also, it's a title match. You get a shot at the title. Oh, man. Young kid in that position. Couldn't ask for more. Definitely is on-the-job training, getting you ready for that next level.
Yeah, and there's no better way to do it. You know, it's always the old adage of like, hey, to get this job, you need experience. Well, how do you get experience? Well, I need the job, you know, and in this way, to get that high level world heavyweight title experience like that for some of these guys. And I've noticed NXT's been bringing in a few other, you know, names, like Baron Corbin's been down in NXT, and we saw who else was there? Dana Brooke was there. Yeah.
He was there for the Battle Royal. Yeah.
Yeah, so they're kind of influxing a little bit there.
Mustafa Ali, he's there right now as well.
Mustafa Ali was there.
Yeah.
For a while, you had Jinder and Apollo down there. Now Jinder. By the way, Jinder looks so menacing in this new role.
Yeah, he looks real, dog. He looks like a real boss. I love what they're doing with Jinder Mahal right now with those boys. Seriously, they and the guys that he I'm gonna tell you, those guys are so freaking menacing. Veer and Sangha, those two guys, they're scary. I'm not jiving, bro. And Veer is like one of the nicest guys you're ever gonna meet in your life. But when you see him in the ring, he definitely turns it on. He's a throwback. He's a throwback to what wrestling was back in the day. And I'm gonna tell you right now, you better keep your eye on those two guys. Veer and Sangha, they're gonna take over. They're gonna take over the whole thing.
Man, it's just awesome to have. Yeah, and you know what? People can say what they want about Jinder, but he's actually been able to evolve over the years. You know what I mean?
Oh,
like
yeah.
He's changed. He's not the same guy that he was even when he was the world champion. Like, he's a different cat, different look, different vibe.
I think Jinder just matured now, and he knows exactly what the business is all about. It's not about being a champion or anything like that. It's about performing. It's about performing at a high level. Even though having the championship is something that you want, it's something that you need if you're going to get to the next level. And before we get out of here, something a fan had did for me that I want to rattle off, just for all the people out there that don't really know as far as how far the rabbit hole goes. Okay, I'm going to put something up here for you, and let you check it out. All right. I'm gonna start it from here. All right, I'm gonna roll it up, and then I'm gonna read it off to you. See all
We
of
have
that?
a scroll. This looks like a scroll.
And now I'm gonna read this off to you. Now, these are all my accomplishments for anybody out there that want to, talk about Booker T's accomplishments. GWF Tag Team Champion 3 times. LVPW UWF champ. I don't even know what that is. SWC champ. TAP champ. That's Texas All Pro. The Reality Wrestling Tag Team champ. TNA Legends champ. TNA Tag Team champ. WCW Heavyweight champ 4 times. WCW Television champ 6 times. WCW US champ. WCW Tag Team champ 10 times. Let's see here. WWE Tag Team champ 3 times. WCW champ with Test Tag Team 1 time. WWE IC champ. All right. WWE US champ 3 times. King of the Ring champion. All right. 2-time Hall of Famer. Multiple triple crowns. Okay. Cauliflower Alley Hall of Fame. The Luthez Award. Okay. Married to a Queen. Now, can you dig that, sucker? Those are all of my accomplishments.
And I think he even left a couple off. I think you were a hardcore champion at some point.
Hardcore champion 2 times as well. They did miss that, but those are my accomplishments. Those are all my accolades that I've had in the business, man. So
you've done nothing.
If anybody say what?
You've done nothing.
Done nothing. Who did I beat?
Nobody.
But I just want
to say.
Did
he draw money?
Can he draw money? I just want to say my accolades are complete. And I'll put my resume up against anybody in the business if they ever want to compare. I just want to put that out there.
Well, real quick, before we roll out too, let me just give some love to Joshua Barnes, who said, me and my boy are doing fantasy camp for a bachelor's trip. So let me know, Book, coming from Green Bay. Can't wait. And then,
Awesome.
of course,
Awesome.
James Weston said, and he's got a new haircut, man. Do you want to see it?
You don't mess with my little privates, man.
I was stupid, man. I swear, man. I don't know how I made this business, bro. I guess that's how, man. Going out there and being able to ad-lib on the fly and have some fun at the same time doing it. That's my advice to these young guys out there. Have some fun while you're doing this, man, because it don't last forever. You know what I mean? It's here today and it's going tomorrow. That time you got in between, make the best of it. But right now, we got to get up out of here, Bradley. I appreciate everything you get done on the regular, but all you super chatters, everybody in the chat, appreciate you guys, love you. But right now, we got to get up out of here, man. Peace. Next time, we out.